it will be gone. And so we need to address that issue. I know it's been an issue in the Manukau days, and it continues to be an issue in the Auckland Council days. So to the CFO, thank you, and also to yourself, David, for at least putting that up there. It allows that time and that communication around that issue to be sorted out prior to coming back to the FMP. So it is a long time coming. I also look forward to believe it or not, the connectivity to Onehunga, because there is a connectivity to Onehunga through State I-20, and you know that there, and Councillor Quacks has spoken about Pamio, so there's heaps, and I know that with the report, Chair, and I'll going to stop and shut up after this, but the local boards as well, the two local boards that govern that area, Otara Papatoetoi as well as Manurewa, they are both supportive of this, and it is a long time coming. So I just sort of wanted to let the councillors know that around that connectivity as Manukau moving into our Auckland Tamaki Makaurau. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Filipaina, and a respect and acknowledgement to those Manukau City Councillors who are still around the table, and the Manukau Mayor. This must be a good moment to be a Southerner. Councillor and I, one of those councillors.
No, I didn't have sense. I'm happy with that.
You happy? Okay.
Actually, we don't get too many occasions to reflect backwards because we're so focused on...
Mr Mayor, why don't you have a word at this stage?
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Mr Mayor.
Look, I think you're allowed.
Councillor Lee usually does that.
Madam Chair, someone needed me?
It's good timing. No, it's good.
Yeah, okay. So, thank you, Madam Chair. Hugh Davey was the first Mayor of Manukau. And so one of the things, as we look back, you have to reflect and acknowledge the role of, quite frankly, great men and women in some of their visionary assessments and how they felt things were to go forward. And basically, when they were tasked with setting up the first Manukau and he was elected, they went about buying as much land as they possibly could. This wasn't the private sector, this was the ratepayers of Auckland. And so the reason why we're now able to, and what helped Manukau to have a very, very solid balance sheet was that we were able to mix our rates income with land sales and or public-private partnerships, work very closely with the private sector in this front. So one of the things that I want to, we're clearly in this focused on the need to offload some of these assets. But I just want to get comfort from the officers that in making these determinations now to meet the need, one, for us to satisfy the requirements of the LTP in terms of land sales, and that's good. But secondly, to get a sense that this is not just about offloading our assets, but it's also about leveraging and developing our assets as we've done on the waterfront. So can we just sort of reflect a little bit of how the Manukau developmental plan will work forward, given the fact that we, for example, have utilised the Rainbow's End land. It sits there with some good leasehold arrangements to ensure social economic benefits. The MIT land sits there on a long-term peppercorn. So can you just sort of give us a bit of a sense on how Panuku in its very early stages views the public role in the development of this area, which you acknowledge is underperforming, and that's right, in terms of what the present rental and sale value, boundaries are for that Manukau city centre. It should be up around Takapuna, it should be up around Newmarket, but it's not. So, yeah, just reaching out a bit, Dave.
Yeah, so that's correct, Mayor. And if we just go back to that diagram I put up, Tam. So one of the things I put up there we're working on now is what I call a framework plan, which some people referred to in the past as master planning or whatever. which will be looking at those sites in the context of the centre and what will be the best outcome for the whole centre. And when we take those properties to the market, we will be looking to link up with development agreements with good quality development partners to achieve outcomes on those sites which, while they will return value, will also be contributing to what the framework plan has identified as working best for the area. So there is no intention with any of those sites that we will simply dump them out, if you like, to the highest bidder. They will all be development partnerships that will have agreed outcomes that will reflect the framework plan that is due to be finalised within the next couple of months.
Good. And second question.
Which is, again, as you say, is very similar to the waterfront model.
Yeah, good. And second question, and it's not specifically a part of this, but very much part of the developmental area. Te Wera will be opened at the end of this month, which will be fabulous. We've got a development going in beside it that should be complementary. The sort of the empty part of the heart of the Manukau development has always been the County's Manukau District Health Board land sitting right in there beside the Kerrs Road Hospital. That has been vacant since the farmer left it in 1950, and it has never even looked like getting developed. Can you please tell me whether or not we're in very early discussions with the CMDHB to at last do something with that land?
Yeah, so we are in early discussions with the DHB because they're having a good think about the future of their site. They've obviously had a long planned major new sort of super clinic to go in there, which probably won't need all of the site. So we've already had a workshop which they were an active participant in, and we are we've established an ongoing dialogue from that workshop. They've agreed to be part of the framework plan I was talking about, so they understand the benefits for both Manukau and for them in linking their site clearly into the thinking around the whole future of that area. So they haven't determined what they want to do yet. They're still working through their own thoughts, but certainly they're keen to be part of this. And if they were to have any surplus land, it would, will obviously fit into this framework planning that we're doing with their agreement.
Great.
Okay. I've got Councillor Anai, Member Taipiri, Councillor Penrose, Crum and Casey and Wood.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one question that's been bothering me with this whole thing here is parking for the courts. It's been a major problem out there from day one that has been insufficient for the courts or for the police, as you know, for the public. So what are you thinking about building around that particular area as part of this structure?
Yeah, so again, that'll come out in the thinking with the framework planning, because clearly one of the challenges for Manukau, if you look at it, and there's a great aerial, I think, that's in the plan that shows you just how much at-grade car parking dominates the whole centre. So there's obviously a need, given that the vision for this is looking ahead 10, 15 years, is that we need to look at just different ways of accommodating that potentially, and that's something we'll be working on with Auckland Transport. Because on the one hand, we need to make provision for the vehicles for the businesses and activities that are there, but on the other hand, we need to combine that with thinking about, a certain point of centre with that grade car parking reaches a point where it becomes part of a problem as well as part of a solution. So we need to sort of think about how we achieve those objectives. And so clearly over a 10, 15 year time frame, you're going to look potentially at more parking buildings of the kind Auckland Transport's already put in. I mean, all those ideas will be on the table.
I raise that because the car park that's there now is going to be the bus interchange, and you've got MIT there, and you've got that huge courts and police area where I've been seriously concerned for some time that this was coming, and I just want to make sure we're ready for that, as well as the Rainbow's End deal there, and all the development that's going with across the Te Wera, etc. as well. I mean, the huge numbers of people are going to be in this area is quite large, and we really have to make sure we're ready for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anai. Member Taipiri.
Kia ora, Madam Chair, and I'm here nui ki a koutou I tēnei wā. I'm just pretty happy to see on those pages, I think it's 49 to 51, the information you have there about working with mana whenua. I know it's very high level, and I see about the work program, so I just wonder when that might start to be able to be seen in terms of what that program is and what it entails. And there's a description in here on 49, which is 27 of the document. At the bottom it says, will extend into committed collaborative engagement and relationships with Mātai Waka and urban Māori, the broader Māori population. It sounds like three ways to identify the same group. So you might want to help me there, and just if there are others other than Mātai Waka included in that paragraph, I'd be keen to know who that is or what that might be. But again, and that really does bring to mind of how you will engage with Mātai Waka, because if you have a work program with mana whenua, how you might continue that engagement with Mātai Waka. So I'm quite keen to understand, particularly about that broader Māori population. Does that mean more Māori from outside Auckland, I guess is what I'm asking. And just on the report for the 5 properties, which says subject to finance and performance, I'm assuming that will go through the same process that you normally do of investigating those lands prior to putting them up to council for disposal?
Yes, all that will be, or has been, in fact, it has been done. Yeah. Do you want to answer the question of engagement?
Thank you. As you know, in Panuku we have a really strong engagement process with iwi, mana whenua and hapu, and it could just be extra wording that might not be necessary, but some of the iwi that we are working with are from the Hauraki or from Waikato, because they have a lot of association with that centre for shopping, retail and other business, and so as part of a wider process we engage with quite a broad range. 11 is what we've recorded.
But they are from Tamaki, the ones you just made reference to.
Yeah, it could just be extra wording.
You talk like from somewhere else, but they're from here.
Yes, it could be extra wording that's unnecessary.
So when you say, is this the one where it's Mātai Waka and urban Māori, the broader Māori population? Is that the answer to that question?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm more confused.
Maybe that might just be a bit of offline clarification, Member Taipiri. Councillor Rose.
Question,
Oh,
the
no
work,
one,
the
yep.
work program. I asked when the work program, or with mana whenua, that is, you're developing a work program with mana whenua for the framework planning process.
Yep.
When will that work program start to be seen?
I think, Gallagher, you're best to
Yep.
answer that.
Kia ora, good afternoon
Kia ora.
everyone. The work program for engagement, including mana whenua, Māori broadly, will be developed alongside the framework plan. That work has already started, and in fact it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation where we're already engaging, obviously with mana whenua in particular, but also the local board and other stakeholders as we in fact develop that plan. So
Okay, so that's a general work program, is it, rather than just a specific one? It sort of makes me think there's a specific work program with mana whenua, but you're talking about a wider work program.
be a way.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Crum.
Thank you. Can you just give me a couple of headline comments on 2 counts? One is under funding strategy, possible access to funds from a partnership approach with the government. So just any work that you've initially touched on then or touching on. And the other is, and you'd expect this to be a biased comment from me, but it's a genuine comment, lessons learnt and learning in preparation for your high-level project plan for Onehunga. So you're doing this now, big body of work, a lot of staff time, but there must be some take-on comments for where you're going next.